Have you ever felt that, despite all the effort, it is not yet where you would like it in life? What obstacles, negative emotions, and distractions leave you from the success you so much desires? If so, know that you are not alone. But the good news is that there is an ancient philosophy that can completely transform its way of seeing the world. Stoicism. Originated in ancient Greece and perfected by the Romans, Stoicism taught emperors, generals, and great leaders to develop resilience, self-discipline, and mental clarity, and today their principles remain more alive than ever. In this video, you will discover 14 Stoic lessons that can change your life. Lessons that will help you gain unshakable confidence, act more focused, and face any challenge without hesitation. But beware, this will not just be a theoretical video. Here you will learn how to apply these concepts to practice, with modern examples and strategies that really work. In the end, you will see that the real success is not in wealth or status, but in your ability to stay firm in the face of adversity. So if you want to stop feeling hostage to your emotions, overcome procrastination, and finally walk the path of success, keep watching. Are you ready for this transformation? Let's start with the first big Stoic lesson. Lesson 1. Control what you can, ignore what cannot. One of the greatest sources of frustration and anxiety in people's lives is to try to control the uncontrollable. Have you ever worried about the opinion of others? Have you been paralyzed for fear of something that doesn't depend on you? If so, this Stoic lesson may be the key to your mental freedom. The Epictetus philosopher said, "Some things are under our control, some no." If we focus on what we cannot change, we become slaves to circumstances. But what does this mean in practice? It means that you must divide your life into two categories: what you can control, your actions, your mindset, your effort, your discipline. What you can't control, what others think, the past, unforeseen, the market, the climate. Imagine an entrepreneur launching a new product. It can study the market, create an amazing product, and invest in marketing, but you can't control how people will react. If he spends too much energy trying to predict every detail of the public reception, he will end up anxious and unproductive. Instead, he must focus on what is within his reach, do his best. The same goes for any area of life. You can prepare for a job interview, but you cannot guarantee that it will be chosen. You can take care of your body, but you have no full control over your health. You can strive for a relationship, but you can't force someone else to feel something for you. By internalizing this idea, you eliminate unnecessary concerns and direct your energy to what really matters. Instead of spending time complaining or trying to change the uncontrollable, you act strategically. So stop now and reflect. What concerns are they draining you because they are out of your control? How can you redirect your energy to what you can really influence? From the moment you focus only on what you can change, your productivity shoots, your inner peace increases, and you become truly free. Lesson 2. Accept and embrace the challenges faced with difficulties. The natural reaction of most people is to complain, avoid, or even give up. But Stoicism teaches that challenges are not enemies. They are opportunities. Marco Aurelio, one of the largest Stoic emperors, wrote, "The obstacle is the way. That is, the challenges are not barriers in their way. They are their own way to growth and success. If you learn to change your mindset, each difficulty will become a chance to strengthen your character and become more resilient." Imagine an athlete training for a competition. If it avoids hard workouts because they are uncomfortable, it will never become a champion. Similarly, an entrepreneur who escapes problems or challenges will never see your business grow. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this? How can this challenge strengthen me? What opportunities are hidden in this difficulty?" Steve Jobs was fired from the company itself, Apple. Instead of victimizing, he used this failure as an impulse to create innovative projects and ended up returning stronger than ever. Another example is Thomas Edison, which failed more than 1,000 times before inventing the electric lamp. Instead of seeing these flaws as defeats, he considered them steps necessary for success. In practice, whenever you come across an obstacle, remember, don't resist, don't complain. Ask yourself how it can grow with it. Lesson 3. Focus on what you can control in life. There are many factors that are beyond our control, but our mind and our actions are always ours to command. Stoics taught us to focus on what we can control and set aside all that is beyond our reach. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "Some things are under our control and some no. Those that are out of our control, we must accept them with serenity." Stoic wisdom is distinguishing between what we can change and what we cannot. In many situations, we spend energy worrying about things that do not depend on us, the opinion of others, the behavior of other people, or even unforeseen events. This mental wear prevents us from acting clearly and prevents our growth. For example, imagine that you have a work project with a tight deadline. A team colleague does not deliver his part in time, and you find yourself facing an obstacle. What can you control right now? Your reaction. You can frustrate and waste time complaining, or you can focus on how to solve the situation, quickly act, and focus on your goal. The control is in your hands. The secret is to recognize its limitations and release control of aspects that are not under its domain. How to apply focus on what you can control. Identify what you can and what you can't control. Change your focus to actions that depend on you. Detach results that are beyond their influence. Accept situations out of your control and move on with peace of mind. By adopting this mindset, you will feel more at peace and more efficient because you will be spending your energy on things that really matter. Lesson 4. The power of self-discipline and own domain self. Discipline is the bridge between its goals and its achievements. Without it, even the biggest dreams remain only ideas. Stoics understood this deeply and practiced their own rule as a fundamental principle for success. Seneca said, "He who is a slave to his pleasures will never be truly free." We often let momentary desires control our decisions, procrastination, laziness, distractions. But those who give in to impulses all the time becomes a prisoner of their own weaknesses. Think of great athletes, entrepreneurs, and successful artists. What do everyone have in common? Discipline. They do not wait for the motivation or the perfect moment. They create habits and follow their routine even when they have no desire. See the example of Jocko Willink, former commander of the U.S. Navy Special Forces. He wakes up every day at 4:30 a.m. to train. For him, discipline is not a punishment, but freedom. The more disciplined you are, the more control you will have about your life. How to apply self-discipline to your routine. Create rules for yourself. Set clear boundaries and comply with them. Eliminate distractions. If your phone hits your focus, leave it away. Have a solid routine. Do not depend on motivation. Depend on habits. Adopt the long-term mindset. Sacrifice small pleasures now to gather great rewards later. If you want to achieve anything significant, you need to be your own master, not your own slave. Lesson 5. Accept adversity as part of the process. Adversity is inevitable. At some point, everyone faces challenges, failures, and obstacles on the way to success. For Stoics, these moments of difficulty are valuable growth opportunities. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, wrote, "Difficulties teach us to be stronger, wiser, and more prepared for life. When something goes wrong, whether at work, studies, or in our personal lives, our first reaction is often frustration or pursuit of culprits. However, the Stoics suggest that we must face adversity with courage and resilience. Instead of seeing an obstacle as a failure. See it as a lesson that can improve your skills and strengthen your mindset. For example, a businessman who faces bankruptcy may feel defeated, but if he adopts the Stoic mindset, he will see it as an opportunity to learn. It can identify the mistakes made, adjust your strategies, and get back stronger. The failure is not the end, but part of the process of evolution. The secret of Stoicism is not to be shaken by the difficulties, but to use them as fuel for the construction of an unshakable character. Acceptance of adversity allows us to keep calm and act more rationally, rather than being guided by the emotion of the moment. How to apply this lesson in your daily life? Accept that the challenges are part of the journey. Face the difficulties with a learning mindset. Respond to adversity calmly and clearly, without impulsive reactions. Reflect on how obstacles can help you grow. By adopting this posture, adversity is no longer a threat and becomes an opportunity to strengthen itself. Lesson 6. The importance of focused action. Stoics believed that to achieve success, it is not enough to only have good intentions or plans. It is necessary to act with focus and clear intention. The focused action is the engine that boosts our goals toward realization. Without concentrated action on the goal, any effort will be dispersed and ineffective. Epictetus, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, teaches that we should always seek one task at a time, without losing ourselves in multitasking or distractions. He states that the action should not be hurried or impulsive, but intentional and focused. In the modern world, with so many distractions around us, maintaining focus on our essential tasks becomes a real challenge. Whether in the workplace, studies, or our personal lives, the tendency is that our attention will be constantly attracted to external stimuli, such as social networks, emails, and even unnecessary conversations. However, the real success comes when we are able to block these distractions and dedicate the energy to what really matters. Imagine that you have the purpose of creating a large project, such as a business or an initiative. You may be excited about the idea, but if you don't start acting in a focused and strategic way, you may get lost in small tasks or procrastinating. Focused action is the ability to devote time, energy, and resources to what will really generate results. How can we apply this lesson in our daily lives? Set clear priorities every day. Organize your environment to minimize distractions. Avoid temptation to start new tasks before you finish current. Practice the focus on small tasks, one step at a time, but always advancing. By applying the action focused on all areas of your life, you will be closer to achieving your goals efficiently. Lesson 7. Resilience in the face of adversity. Life is full of unexpected challenges, and often the difficulties arise when we least expect it. How do Stoic people deal with it? Instead of trying to avoid problems, they teach you how to face adversity in front with courage and emotional balance. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, believed that adversity was an opportunity for growth and learning, not something to be feared or avoided. Instead of despairing in the face of an obstacle, he suggested that we must accept difficulties as part of the life process and use them in our favor. Resilience, in the Stoic context, does not simply mean surviving difficult times. It involves the ability to keep calm, think clearly, and act with purpose, even when the pressure is intense. The idea is that you cannot control everything around you, but you can control your reaction to these situations. For example, if you lose your job or suffer a great disappointment, what do you do? Do you let yourself consume for frustration or seek a practical solution, accepting the situation and moving to the next step? Stoicism teaches us not to be slaves to our feelings. We must learn to manage our emotions by recognizing them without letting them control us. Applying this lesson in everyday life, transform obstacles into learning opportunities. Practice acceptance of what you cannot control. Reflect on your emotional reactions and work not to be governed by them. Face each challenge calmly and clearly, always seeking practical solutions. By cultivating resilience, you are preparing to face any storm, always with the confidence that you will be able to find a way forward. The real Stoic force is staying firm, no matter what turbulence around it. Lesson 8. Controlled mind. The power of focus in today's world, we are constantly bombarded by distractions. If you have tried to focus on an important task and have seen yourself paying attention to multiple stimuli at the same time, you know how challenging it is to keep the focus. The uncontrolled mind can become a source of chaos, dispersing our energy and attention in many directions at the same time. Epictetus, another of the big names in Stoicism, talked about the importance of mastering our mind. For him, the human mind is like a fertile field. If you do not plant the right seeds, the harvest will be full of weeds. Therefore, learning to control thoughts and directing our attention is essential to achieving true peace of mind and effectiveness in actions. For Stoics, true freedom comes from the control of the mind. This means being able to focus exclusively on what we can control, without being consumed by thoughts about what is beyond our reach. A great example of this is how we deal with criticism. We often let ourselves be affected deeply by the opinions of others, but Stoics teach that the value of our lives should not be determined by external factors, such as the approval of others. How to apply mind control in your daily life. Practice daily meditation to train your mind and increase your concentration. Avoid multitasking. Increase productivity by focusing on one thing at a time. Perform constructive self-criticism rather than affecting self-destructive thoughts. Use positive statements to replace negative thoughts that take your energy and focus. Imagine that you have a tight deadline to deliver an important job. Instead of getting lost in anxieties and worries, you decide to focus on what can be done now. Organizes the task in smaller parts and focuses fully in execution. This is the mindset of mind control, something that, when practiced, can lead to unbeatable productivity and a feeling of lasting well-being. Lesson 9. The flow of life. Embracing impermanence. One of the most powerful lessons of Stoicism is the impermanence of life. Everything, absolutely everything, is constantly changing, and that includes both good and difficult times. For Stoics, accepting that nothing lasts forever is the first step in gaining true inner peace. When we understand that suffering and difficulties are temporary, we can face them with more wisdom and serenity. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, wrote about the inevitability of death and how this should be a daily reminder that life is short. This reflection should not leave us paralyzed by fear or anguish, but to motivate us to live with more purpose. After all, if life is finite, then every moment counts. What the Stoics suggest, then, is that we must live fully in the present. Instead of excessively worrying about the future or getting stuck in the past, we can choose to act in the now, take every opportunity, and accept the ups and downs of life with emotional balance. This means that while we respect the moments of pain, we also know that these moments will pass, and peace will be within reach as soon as we accept this fluidity. How to apply the impermanence lesson. Accept that pain is temporary. Instead of resisting, observe the difficult times as passing phases. Practice the daily gratitude. Even in the face of difficulties, there is always something to thank. Free yourself from anxiety about the future. Control is only in your actions in the present. Reflect on your mortality. Remembering that life is short can increase your motivation to achieve what really matters. Imagine that you are going through a difficult phase at work with many obstacles and pressure. By reflecting on the impermanence of situations, you understand that this phase will not last forever. Instead of being consumed by frustration, you focus on what you can learn from experience and what you can do to improve the situation. This attitude of acceptance and acting on the present transforms a potentially negative situation into a growth opportunity. Lesson 10. Detach expectations. Emotional freedom. One of the greatest sources of suffering in human life comes from expectations. Those ideas we create in our minds about how things should be or how people should act. When these expectations are not met, disappointment, frustration, and anger arise. Stoicism teaches us to detach from expectations and to accept what happens as part of the natural flow of life. Epictetus, one of the main Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not the things in themselves that disturb us, but the opinions we have about them." This means that our happiness depends on how we interpret the world, not how objectively it is. If we create unreal or perfectionist expectations, the chance of being disappointed increases. By letting go of expectations, we are able to free our emotions and live more smoothly and realistically. Stoicism teaches us to accept what is out of our control, such as other people's attitudes or the circumstances of life. This does not mean that we should be passive or do not have ambitions, but that we must be flexible in our expectations and learn to deal with life's surprises without losing emotional balance. How to apply this lesson in your daily life? Reevaluate your expectations. Ask yourself if they are realistic or if you are creating an idealized scenario. Focus on what you can control. Focus your energy in your actions, attitudes, and choices. Be prepared for the unexpected. Open to the surprise and accept that unforeseen events are part of the journey. Practice radical acceptance. Accept situations as they are, without judging or resisting. You have an important meeting at work and expect everything to run perfectly. However, something unexpected happens. The computer system fails or a colleague arrives late. If you had an expectation that everything should be perfect, it can be frustrated. But if you adopt a Stoic mindset, you will accept that unforeseen events are part of life, and instead of losing calm, will seek a quick solution to the problem. Accepting the situation without resistance diminishes tension and helps focus on what really matters, the solution, not the problem. Lesson 11. Gratitude, even in adversities, transforming difficulties into opportunities. In Stoicism, gratitude is not only a sense of recognition for the good things we have, but also a way to turn difficulties into growth opportunities. The Seneca philosopher said that it is not that we have little time, but we waste a lot. In other words, life's difficulties are not obstacles, but moments that, if used well, can teach us precious lessons. Gratitude, in the Stoic context, is a daily practice of appreciation for the lessons that life offers us, even those that are disguised as difficulties. When we face adversities with open mind, we can learn and grow from them, transforming difficult situations into sources of resilience and wisdom. How to practice Stoic gratitude? Embrace the impermanence. Recognize that difficulties are part of life and are temporary, offering lessons for the future. Find learning in adversity. Each challenge is an opportunity to learn something new about yourself and the world. Practice the active gratitude. Instead of focusing on what is wrong, look for what is right in your life and celebrate it, even if it is something small. Keep a growth mindset. Gratitude is not just about what you have, but about what you can do with what you have, whether in good or bad times. Imagine that you are facing a period of difficulties at work. Perhaps an important project has not come out as expected, or you have received negative feedbacks. Instead of focusing on frustration, try to change your perspective. What is this situation teaching you? It can be a lesson on how to improve your skills or even how to better deal with criticism. By being grateful for these lessons, you not only develop a more positive mindset, but also prepare better for the next challenge. Gratitude is therefore a powerful tool for transforming adversity into growth and wisdom. By practicing it, you look at the world in a more balanced and positive way. Lesson 12. The strength of self-sufficiency. The path to personal freedom. Self-sufficiency is one of the fundamental pillars of Stoicism. For Stoic people, being self-sufficient does not mean living in isolation or avoiding interaction with others, but developing inner strength so that we can face the challenges of life without excessively dependent on external factors, such as the approval of others, circumstances, or material possessions. Epictetus, one of the most important Stoic philosophers, stated that it is not the things in itself that disturb us, but the opinions we have about them. That is, true self-sufficiency is born of our ability to control our mind and emotions rather than being governed by external factors. How to cultivate the self-sufficiency? Detach from external validation. The constant search for approval can be a weight that prevents personal growth. Trust your own vision and skills. Develop emotional self-control. Stoicism teaches that our inner peace must be independent of external events. By controlling your emotions, you become more self-sufficient. Find satisfaction in what you have. Instead of seeking what is missing, value what is already around you and realize that true happiness comes from what you are, not what you have. Practice independence of thought. Form your own opinions based on what is really important to you, not social expectations or standards. Think of a time when you were overly dependent on the approval of others, perhaps in a job or a social group. By realizing this dependence, you can decide to act differently, first seeking internal satisfaction and not external validation. If you learn to trust yourself, you are free from other people's expectations, becoming truly self-sufficient. Self-sufficiency, therefore, is more than just being able to live alone. It is having the power to create your own happiness from what is within you and not from external circumstances. Lesson 13. Action with purpose. How to act consciously and effectively. One of the great lessons of Stoicism is the emphasis on action with purpose. It is not enough to simply act, it is necessary to act intentionally and consciously. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true freedom comes from the ability to act according to our values, not impulsively or reactively to the events around us. Seneca, another of the great Stoics, said, "It's not that we have little time, but we waste a lot." He was referring to the idea that we often spend our time reacting to circumstances or letting us go by distractions rather than taking responsibility for our actions and acting in a focused manner. Acting with purpose, therefore, means being clear about what is important and use our time and energy effectively to achieve these goals. How to practice action with purpose? Set clear goals. Do you know where you want to go? Stoicism teaches us that the definition of clear objectives is an essential step towards acting with purpose. This creates a north that directs all our actions. Be present at the moment. The action with purpose is focused on the present. Instead of worrying about the future or getting to the past, focus on what you can do now to move forward. Avoid procrastination. Procrastination is the antithesis of action with purpose. Overcoming procrastination requires courage to face discomfort and discipline to start, even when there is no instant motivation, acts with integrity and consistency. For Stoics, acting on purpose also means acting ethically and consistently with our values. This gives us a feeling of lasting realization more than any passing success. Imagine that you have a dream of starting a new project or changing your career. Instead of being paralyzed by doubt or insecurity, Stoicism suggests that you take a practical and small but significant step today. This can be to do an initial planning, look for opportunities, or just learn something new. The key is to start now and act clearly, knowing that each small action counts towards the biggest goal. The action with purpose, then, is not about acting without thinking or reactively. It is based on reflection, planning, and discipline, focusing on results that are truly important to your personal growth. Lesson 14. The Stoic Legacy: How to Live with a Greater Sense. The last Stoic lesson is about legacy and meaning. Stoicism challenges us to think beyond our ego and our personal achievements, to understand the impact we leave on the world. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most respected Roman emperors and Stoic philosopher, teaches us that our greatest purpose is not to accumulate wealth or fame, but to live according to our values, acting to contribute to the common good. In the context of Stoicism, legacy is not only what we leave materially, but also the emotional, intellectual, and ethical impact we generate in the lives of the people around us. This is a principle that goes beyond the succession of material goods and addresses the value of wisdom, goodness, and contribution to others. How to live with a more significant legacy. Live with purpose, not for glory. The real measure of a legacy is not what we have gained, but the positive impact we have. For Stoics, it is essential to live a life of virtue, honoring principles such as wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control. Practice. The detachment. Stoicism teaches us that we should not cling to what is ephemeral. True wealth comes from living according to virtue, not accumulating material goods. This helps us to see that the quality of life, not quantity, is what really matters in the end. Inhale and teach others. If you want to leave a lasting legacy, share your knowledge and help others evolve. Be a mentor, an example, or simply someone who shares wisdom with the people around you. Accept death as part of the process. The awareness that our life is finite helps us to value the present and to live fuller. Death teaches us to seek a legacy that is lasting and unchanging, based on the virtues we cultivate. If you intend to build a career or successful life, reflect on the impact you want to leave. By focusing on the well-being and growth of those around you, and by acting with virtue, you create a legacy that transcends your own life. It may be a legacy of education, mutual help, or simply moral example, but it will always be more significant than any material good. True satisfaction comes from the positive contribution to the world and living with a purpose that goes beyond the ego. This legacy, inspired by the Stoic principles, is what truly provides a lasting success and a well-lived life. These 14 lessons of Stoicism can completely transform your life. When you begin to apply these principles in your daily life, it not only reaches success, but also finds true inner peace, unshakable confidence, and the resilience needed to overcome any challenge. The constant practice of self-discipline, reflection, and acceptance of challenges as opportunities will put you on the way to personal and professional excellence. But now it's your turn. How can you apply these lessons today in your life? What changes can you start to implement now to become a stronger, more focused, and more resilient version of yourself? Think about it. Now I want to hear from you. Which Stoicism lesson has resonated with you? Leave in the comments below. Let's talk about how we can put these teachings into practice concretely. E se você gostou deste vídeo, não se esqueça de deixar o seu like, compartilhar com amigos que também estão em busca de crescimento pessoal e inscrever-se no canal para continuar recebendo conteúdos valiosos como este. Ative o sininho para não perder nenhuma atualização. A jornada rumo ao sucesso é constante e o primeiro passo começa agora. Let's go together.